Hi, everybody. My name is Shannon Wright. This is Container to Table. We are in a partnership agreement with Urban Engagement Initiative. And what we are trying to do, or what we are doing, is bringing you some healthy alternatives and ways of being able to keep good food on the table, save your pocketbook a little bit of something, and be able to just try and stay healthy during these, what do they say? Unprecedented times. So this is segment, oh gosh, I couldn't even tell you which one it is right now. What is this, 7? Okay, so this is segment 7. We started this some weeks back, and I wanted to start by showing you some things. Now, in the first or second week, we took the leeks and we planted them. Now, just so you can see, it looks a little funny right now, sticking up out of the bottle, but just so you can see, what happens is we took the leeks that we'd bought from the supermarket. They had no roots on the bottom, and as you can see, they do now. We put them in water with the toothpick. Now, when we did this, the toothpick was at the rim of the top rim of the bottle. So all of this from here up is new growth. So at this point, we're going to remove the toothpick. And this guy needs a bit of a bigger apartment to live in. So we're going to put him in our water bottles. And as you guys know, I've constantly been showing you how we do the whole water bottle thing. So I've got some bottles that are already cut and prepped. So we're gonna put him down in there. So hopefully his roots will get the impression that we need them to grow this way. So you want to try to gingerly get the roots all down. And they can fight back sometimes, but you don't want to stab them up and break them. So you get the roots down, and you'll see why in a second, why it's important that the roots are as much as possible going in this direction. So, okay, we've got them in. The roots are going down. Gonna take this part, put it on top of your water bottle. Then you're gonna take your big bottle of water, which has a few grains of granules of plant food in the bottom of it, which you might be able to see, but you might not. And you're gonna just pour this in. I'm gonna have to lift this up to do it so I can see what I'm doing. So when you take the cap off, because the roots are needing more space now. So when you fill up the bottom and the roots are sticking, when you fill up the top, the roots are sticking out the bottom, you're gonna let the water get up to the bottom part of where the neck of the bottle would be. That way the roots are actually in water. And over the coming weeks, we'll show you even more growth. So we wanna get those done. We started with 3 of them, so we're gonna get all 3 of those put in. So let's see. Here is the next one. Again, he's grown up. This is where we cut. These are the roots. We're gonna take the toothpicks out. We're gonna take our water bottle. Let's do this one. We're gonna take our water bottle. We're gonna put them in, try and get those roots down in there to the best of our ability. Take this, put it in here, pour some water, and he is good to go. And this will grow a full leek. And the cool thing is, once it's grown and you cut it and use it, if you keep the end like we did before, you can regrow a new leek. So now, if you get enough of them going, so whenever you want leeks, you can just cut one, you never have to buy leeks again. And this is our 3rd one. Now the roots on this one, taking a little bit longer to get to a place where you can see them. But if you look, they're definitely there. This is the mark of where we cut. This is all new growth over the last couple of weeks. So again, we're going to take the toothpick out. We're going to get a water bottle. We want the cap off because we want the roots to be able to go down and get into the water as they grow. So we're going to put that in there. Take our bottom half of the water bottle, put it in, add some water. And this is a big cup, and because the roots are still so short on this one, need to bring the water up higher so we make sure that the little bit of roots that are starting to grow actually meet the water. That's number 3, and our leeks are now done. And they'll be able to stay in these containers for a long time. If you find that you're having problem with your root space, you can take a new water bottle, cut it so that it's shorter at the top part where you sit it in, and then longer at the bottom so you have more space for the roots to kind of spread out in the water. So that's done. Now we have a full tray of things that we want to get to today. So I'm going to show you what we've got. I'm going to try to show you anyway. Okay, so we did a lot of cooking this weekend. And by we, I mean that guy over there. So we had a couple of salads. So these are some romaine hearts that I'm about to put in water. Red pepper, green bell pepper, red bell pepper. We're going to seed those and plant those seeds. Also here, we have butternut squash. Him right there, made the best butternut squash, roasted butternut squash. Awesome. So we saved the seeds and we're going to plant those. Over here are some small red beans because we've got a ton of pinto beans growing at this point. So we need to change up our variety and add a little variety to it. So we're going to plant the red beans. You might want to wonder what I'm doing if I'm planting eggshells. We're not planting them. But as you are, when you transplant, you need to make sure you put more nutrients into the soil. And 2 things I have found other than store-bought plant food that are really good for that are eggshells and coffee grinds. So for this week, we're gonna zhuzh up, as Wendy Williams, for those of you in the New York market, as Wendy Williams would say, we're gonna zhuzh up our soil with a little bit of coffee grinds and crumbled up eggshells to kind of give some more nutrients and vitamins and stuff for the plants. So we're going to transplant. I'm gonna start with these. These are sunflower seeds. We planted them some weeks back. They're growing, they're up, they have their secondary seeds, so they're ready to be transplanted. And we're gonna get that going right now. This stack of cups here, our little solo cups, regular inexpensive cups, had in the house and decided to repurpose them. So let me try to move this out of frame, sorry. So we're gonna start with some of the things that you all have seen over the last several weeks, or some of the first steps. I'm putting all of the sunflowers in yellow cups because I just think it's cute to put them all in yellow cups. So you're going to take your mulch, drop some in the cups because again, helps for proper drainage of your plant. You don't want to get root rot or your roots to get too compacted. So you put your mulch in your cups. Then because it's a first transplant, you want the soil a little bit lighter. So I'm going to add some, what is this, peat moss? Some moss and some perlite. Because it's a transplant and I want it to have a lot of the good stuff in it, I'm gonna crush up and try and get it in the pot of dirt, not around it. Crush up eggshells, and then I'm gonna reach over here, and as you can see, I just took the filter out, dropped it in the container, take the filter off, just regular old coffee grinds, and I want to sprinkle some of that on the dirt. Put this back over here. Okay, then we want to mix this up a little bit. Some people use the trowel, some people use a little cup, some people use their hands. I'm going to use my hands, because by using my hands, I can feel where we're at and if the dirt feels like it's light enough. So I'm going to just use my hands. That's why we have soap and water, so it's all good. So we've got some dirt ready. We want to drop some in. Sunflower seeds, by the way, can get pretty doggone tall. So this is definitely just their first transplanting. And as you saw last week when we transplanted our pinto beans, you kind of want to squeeze stuff up so that you can loosen it all up. Grab up your plants from your little section, pull it out, take off some of the mulch, because I always put mulch in everything for proper soil drainage. Okay, so you've got your plants separated. You're gonna take one, you're gonna put it in your cup. You're gonna learn a dance where how you can use your finger to hold the plant where you want it. So when you add the dirt, the plant still ends up where you want it, not just like hanging out on the side of the cup. So you're gonna add your dirt. You smooth it around. Add a little bit more dirt. And there is our first sunflower seed planted. Take your masking tape and pen, write on there what it is you planted. The worst thing in the world, you're growing plants, things are coming up and they're looking pretty and you can see they're doing really well, and you forgot to label it, and it's not till 2-3 months later you find out what it is you're growing. So make sure that you actually label all of your cups. And we're going to do that for this one. Sunflower. Now I know that they're all sunflowers because they're going in the yellow cups. But until you work out your pattern, just a quick piece of tape on your cup, and you'll find that once you transplant this and you want to use the cup again, you just peel off the tape or just put another piece over it with whatever the next thing is in the cup. It's the easiest way to be able to know what it is you're doing and you're growing. So we've got our little label that I just ripped. Oh, sometimes these things happen. So I'm just going to stick this on the back of the cup so that I can see what kind of plant it is. And we will continue working through until all of our sunflowers are transplanted. Also, what we want to do today is we want to transplant the last of our first batch of pinto beans. Now, these guys have been getting all of what they needed, and they are pretty big and tall. So I'm going to get a cup ready for them so that I can just do one and show you. And we've talked about how we're doing this to help you to be able to fill some of the gaps in the supermarket, meeting the table for your family, and how to be able to save a little bit of money in the process. And it's just a healthier alternative because when you grow it, you know what you've used. These are a beautiful batch of pinto bean plants that we planted some weeks back from seed. As you can see, they're starting to get their first little flower buds right in there. Which camera should I put this in to be able to get that? So let's bring this over here. Right here is where we're starting to get the first buds and where some of the tendrils will come out and our beans will start to grow from. I don't know if you can see it or not, but in any event, you will in a couple of weeks when it gets growing. So we're going to transplant a couple of these pinto beans just so you can see how we do it. Again, you want to loosen your soil, make sure you have soil that's ready. I'm gonna put the rest of those sunflower seeds in a yellow cup so I don't get them all mixed up. Gonna loosen the plants. We're gonna grab them up, make sure we untangle them from each other. Grab them up as close to the bottom as you can. Pull gingerly. them over here so we can separate them. And then we're going to get them transplanted. So as you can see, things do start to sprout and come up pretty quickly. We are in February now, so depending on the year, the last frost could be next month or the month after in April. But you really at this point want to be sowing all your seeds indoors so that when that last frost is done, you are ready to have your garden in full steam so that you can get as much out of your growing season as possible. Okay, so this is transplanting. Nice and done. Pinto beans. And soon he will bush out, he will get taller, he will bush out, and there'll be little flowers. And where those little flowers are, there will be beans. So that's that. Now we want to go on to beans. Now I showed you about planting beans in the beginning, but today we're actually going to plant a variety of beans, and we're going to knock this out pretty quickly. We have to keep it moving because it takes a lot of time to get everything organized, set up together, planted and growing. And you won't realize how relaxing this can be until you're actually in your planting. And you'll say, huh, COVID who? Kids home all day for how long? You will find that doing this is actually a really big stress reliever, which in these days, everybody could use a little less stress. So if you can do something that's a stress reliever, produces some good healthy food for you to put on the table for your family, and saves you a couple of bucks in the process, why not? I'm all for it. So we've got our drainage stuff in the bottom. We've got dirt going in. We want it to be a little past the halfway point. Let's even that out a little bit. Okay. Then we want to take our small red beans. Now, usually I would only put 3 or 4 in a section, but I'm actually going to put 5 in. Now, let me explain what that means. When you do that, you're going to get, that means, if you're fortunate, 5 plants growing out of this one small space. Now, the important thing to know about that is when that happens, you have to really be paying attention to your plants. And as soon as they hit that secondary leaves, or even when you see them budding, you want to transplant them into separate individual cups so that the roots don't get tangled up and start a whole survival of the fittest thing going on, which can happen. So you don't want that. So the more seeds you put in a small space, the more you really have to pay attention to it so that you can really get all of the plants from all the seeds that you're putting in. So today, we showed you the leeks, and once they were growing, we transplanted them. Showed you about transplanting the pinto beans and the sunflower seeds, how we're harvesting our red bell pepper seeds, our green bell pepper seeds, planting some more romaine lettuce, and our butternut squash seeds. As always, if you have questions, please reach out to me. Pastor Shannon Wright on Facebook, Urban Engagement Initiative on Facebook, or Container to Table. Send us a message at Container to Table. We'll be happy to add you to our group. You want to do whatever you can to be able to stay healthy, happy, and in a good place for yourself and your family. Doing the things that you can, taking control of what you can, will help you to be able to do that. My name is Pastor Shannon Wright. I hope this has been informative and educational. As always, message me and let's talk about what you want to grow that you can get in your own containers to your own table. See you next week.